Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Verse 19. Maya Javanika Channam Ajnadokshajam Avyayam Nalaksyase Muda Drasya Nato Natyadharo Yatha.
Being beyond the range of limited sense perception, you are the eternally irreproachable factor covered by the curtain of deluding energy. You are releasable to the foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized.
Verse 20. Tatha Paramahamsanam Muninam Amalatmanam Bhakti Yoga Vidhanartham Katham Pashyemahi Striyaha.
You yourself descend to propagate the transcendental signs of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How then can we human know you perfectly?
Verse 21. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Let me, therefore, offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord who has become the son of Vasudeva, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda, and the other cowherd man of Vrindavan, and the unliving heir of the cows and senses.
Verse 22. Nama Pankajanabhaya Nama Pankajamaline Nama Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangraye.
My respectful obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with an expression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as full as the lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses.
Vanita Mataji, your sound is very faded and interrupted. Are you using a mic or your headphone?
I am using my mic.
It's
I
not
could,
coming through very clearly.
it's not clear.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Clear now?
Okay, let's carry on.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll have to go on my iPad.
Verse 23. Yatha Rishikesha Kalena Devaki Kamse Narutati Chiram Sucharpita Vimochitaham cha sahatma cha vibho Tvayeva nate namo vipatganat.
O Rishikesha, master of the senses and the Lord, O Rishikesha, master of the senses and the Lord of lords, you have released your mother, Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious king, Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers.
Verse 24. Vishan Mahagna Purushad Darshanad Asat Sabhaya Vanavasa Krichrata Mride Mride Neka Maharatas Satro Draunystrata Chashma Hare Virakshita.
My dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from a poisoned cave, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Aswastama.
Verse 25. Vipada Shantuta Shashvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavato Darshanam Yatsyad Apunarbhava Darshanam.
I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again, so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths.
Verse 26. Janma Aishwarya Sruta Shripir Edamana Matapuman Naivarhatyapi Datum Vach Tvam Akinchana Gocharam.
My Lord, your Lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty cannot approach you with sincere feeling.
Verse 27. Namo Kinchana Vittaya Nivrata Gunavrattaye Atma Ramaya Santaya Kaivalya Pataye Namaha.
That is sweet. My obeisances are unto you, who are the property of the materially impoverished. You have nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material modes of nature. You are self-satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle and are master of the monists.
Verse 28. Manye Tvam Kalam Ishanam Anadi Nidhanam Vibham Samam Charatam Sarvatra Bhutanam Yanmitha Kali.
My Lord, I consider your Lordship to be eternal time, the supreme controller, without beginning and end, all pervasive one. In distributing your mercy, you are equal to everyone. The distinctions between living beings are due to social intercourse.
Verse 29. Naveda kaschid bhagavamscha kirsitam tavehamanasya nirnam vidambanam nayasya kaschid daitosti karhichid dvesyascha yasmin visamatirnirnam.
O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and so are misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial.
Verse 30. Janma karma cha vishvatman ajasya kartur atmanaha tiryan nirsisu yudasu tad tad atyanta vidambanam.
Of course, it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work, though you are inactive, and that you take birth, though you are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals, men, sages, and ascetics. Verily, this is bewildering.
Verse 31. Gopyadade tvayi kratagasitam tavad yate dasasru kalilanjana sambrammaksham vaktram ninye vaya pavananyasi sitasya samam vimohayati bir api yat pibati.
My dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes, and you are afraid, though fear personified is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me.
Verse 32. Kechid ahurajam jatam punya slokasya kirtaye yado priyasyan vavaye malayasyeva chandanam.
Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of Priya's king, and others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as a sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills.
Verse 33. Apare vasudevasya devakyam yachito vyagat ajastvam asya kshemaya vadaya cha suradvisam.
Others say that since both Vasudeva and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly, you are unborn, yet you take your birth for their welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigods.
Verse 34. Paravatarnayanye bhuvo nava ivo dadau sidantya bhurivarena chatoi atma bhuvartita.
Others say that the world, being overburdened like a boat at sea, is much a dream, and that Brahma, who is your son, prayed for you, and so you have appeared to diminish the trouble.
Verse 35. Bhavesmin klesyamananam avidya kama karma bihi shravana smaranar hani karisyan iti kechana.
And yet others say that you appeared for the sake of rejuvenating the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshipping, and so on, in order that the conditioned souls suffering from material things might take advantage and gain liberation.
Verse 36. Shranvanti gayanti grananti apikshanaşah smaranti nandanti tavehitam jana ta eva pashyanti achirena tavakam Pravaho paramam padam bhujam.
O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant, and repeat your transcendental activities or take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, forgive me for any mistakes I have made. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Mataji. That was nicely recited. Both of you, thank you very much. Dear devotees, welcome to today's chat session. We continue with chapter 8 of canto number 1, the prayers of Queen Kunti. So today we'll be discussing in more detail text number 23. But before we do so, we shall chant the Mangala Charanam prayers. Please feel free to join in behind your waiting mics. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Nidatam Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutidevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashani Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Pustachadishatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanava Pranam. Sorry for interrupting you. Just to let you know that your voice is quite muffled. It's coming through as quite boxed sound. And your internet connection was going a little in and out as well. It's a little better now, but when you started, it was cutting in and out.
Oh, I was
but more
having lots of
importantly,
problems
your
with my
voice is
internet.
not so clear.
Is it still like that now?
It's still a little tinny, Prabhu. It's a little better now, but it's a little tinny.
All right. You just have to bear with me. Unfortunately, I don't know. I was having lots of difficulty.
No problem. No problem. I thought I'd let you know just in case you wanted
Thank
a
you.
bigger one for reception or so, or for recording.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we are going to read text number 23. So these verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, the prayers of Queen Kunti, are very, very important. And Srila Prabhupada once dedicated an entire series of classes towards these prayers, and that has now been published in this book called The Teachings of Queen Kunti. Beautiful book. So it is said that the heart of a devotee of Lord Krishna is full of waves of devotion, full of bhavas, all types of bhavas. And Srila Rupa Goswami explained so many types of bhavas in the Nectar of Devotion. And that emotion, those feelings, they are kept very secretively in the heart of a devotee. And we would never be able to really detect or appreciate those feelings. But it is said when the devotee speaks, then one gets access to those bhavas, those feelings, those emotions. So Queen Kunti, she had been through a lot in her life. And through much of her situations, Lord Krishna was always there by her side. And through all of those interactions with the Lord, she had built up a lot of feelings, emotions, love, prema for Lord Krishna. And in this situation where just before the Lord departs, she approaches him, we see a flood of those emotions being manifest or emerging. And they're coming out in the form of these prayers. So when we see these prayers, we can understand a little bit of what's in the heart of the devotee. Once Srila Prabhupada, he asked the disciples, what is the most important thing one can take from the spiritual master? And Srila Prabhupada eventually answered his own question. Anyone heard this before or knows how Srila Prabhupada responded? What is the most important thing we can take from the spiritual master?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Would it be his instructions?
You're very close.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji. He should be in the parampara.
Yeah, sort of, yeah. Anyway, I'll tell you. Srila Prabhupada said the most important thing we can take from the spiritual master is his vibration. The vibration of the spiritual master that comes out from his mouth is an expression of that which is in his heart. And that vibration comes in different shapes and forms. He's singing, he's talking, he's chanting, and even he's writing. And when we get access to that vibration, we are getting access to the heart of the spiritual master. I'm saying this because the same with Queen Kunti. These prayers we are reading, we are receiving the vibration, the eternal vibration of Queen Kunti, the great devotee. And when we come in contact with that vibration, when that vibration touches us, then we are greatly benefited. Greatly benefited. So these are indeed praise we should really be grateful for. So text number 1823. Yata Rishikesha Kalena Devaki Kamsena Rudha Tichiram Sucharpita Vimochitaham Chasahat Maja Vibho Tvaye Manate Namoho Vipat Ganat. So the word for word synonyms. Yata, as it were. Rishikesha, the master of the senses. Kalena, by the envious. Devaki, Devaki, the mother of Sri Krishna. Kamsena, by King Kamsa. Rudha, imprisoned. Atichiram, for a long time. Suja Arpita, distressed. Vimochita, released. Ahamcha, also myself. Sahatmaja, along with my children. Vigu, O great one. Tvaya eva, for your lordships. Natena, as the protector. Mohur, constantly. Vipat ganat, from a series of dangers. O Rishikesha, master of the senses, and lord of lords, you have released your mother, Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious King Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers. Devaki, the mother of Krishna and the sister of King Kamsa, was put into prison along with her husband, Vasudeva, because the envious king was afraid of being killed by Devaki's 8th son, Krishna. Is the sound any better? Can you hear, or is it still muffled? Oh, I don't even know if you're hearing me anymore.
It's still muffled, Prabhuji. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. I don't know what to do. The connection is just not good today. Anyway, we'll carry on. He killed all the sons of Devaki who were born before Krishna. But Krishna escaped the danger of child slaughter because he was transferred to the house of Nanda Maharaj, Lord Krishna's foster father. Kunti Devi, along with the children, was also saved from a series of dangers. But Kunti Devi was shown far more favor because Lord Krishna did not save the other children of Devaki, whereas he saved the children of Kunti Devi. This was done because Devaki's husband Vasudeva was living, whereas Kunti Devi was a widow, and there was none to help her except Krishna. The conclusion is that Krishna endows more favor to a devotee who is in greater dangers. Sometimes he puts his pure devotees in such dangers because in that condition of helplessness, the devotee becomes more attached to the Lord. The more the attachment is there for the Lord, the more success is there for the devotee. Translation again. O Rishikesha, master of the senses and Lord of Lords, you have released your mother, Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious King Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers. So there are many aspects of this verse we can discuss. The first point that Srila Prabhupada, he speaks about this verse in different parts of his lectures. In one particular lecture, Srila Prabhupada says, there is a misconception that the Lord protects his devotees from all dangers. Well, Srila Prabhupada didn't say that, but he said, basically, he says, oh no, he didn't say protects. He said there's a misconception that the devotees of the Lord experience and encounter no dangers. The expectation of many people is that when we surrender to God, But when we surrender to Krishna, everything becomes smooth sailing. Because Krishna guarantees that he will protect his devotees who surrender to him. And Prabhupada explains that this is not the case. And this verse is an indication of that. That very intimate devotees of Lord Krishna, his own mother and his close aunt, they faced constant dangers. So one may ask, why is it that we would expect the Lord to give protection or to stop any dangers, these devotees experiencing any dangers? We see them experiencing not one, not two, but repeated dangers. Devaki, she had to go through the pain of losing 6 children, actually 7. Well, it's 6 because Balaram was transferred into the womb of Devaki. So he experienced, not Devaki, Rohini. So he experienced many dangers. I mean, practically for us, we've been through some experiences in life, but I think none of us have had, or hardly one of us will have had the experience of losing a child, and especially a young child. Devaki, she had to endure that 6 times. And Queen Kunti Devi, she explains in one of the verses how she went through the Pandavas, experienced so many hardships, poisoned food, house of fire, demon sent, do so much. And sometimes in our own Krishna consciousness, we may have this experience that we think if we surrender to Krishna, everything should be smooth sailing. And then suddenly when there's reversals in life, there's dangers in life, there's tribulations in life, we question, where has Lord Krishna been? He's declared so many things about how he'll protect his devotees. But where is he now? And one who is neophyte in such situations may lose some faith. They may question Krishna. That happens sometimes. His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu was saying a nice story the other day when I was listening to the lecture. He's saying how once in his home, he was in his garden, and a little bird flew into the house. And I'm not sure if you've had this experience of a bird flying into your house, a little bird. So this little bird flew into his house, and he went in to see the bird with the intention of helping it. And the first time the bird saw him, the bird completely spooked. You know how they panic, thinking, this human being, this huge human being is coming to harm me. So this bird just decided to start to fly around frantically. And it would fly from one room to another room. And Vaisheshika Prabhu says he would run and he would open the windows. And he would say, the bird, fly through here. But the bird wouldn't see the open window. It would immediately fly to another room. And he would go to that room and he would open the windows. And it would fly to another room. And this went on and on. And eventually the bird landed up in the kitchen. And the kitchen had like top windows and bottom windows. And he opened the bottom windows and he said to the bird, go away. Be free. I'm your friend. I'm here to help you become free. But the bird didn't see it. It went and smashed against the top window. Started banging his head, banging and banging. And the bird was not seeing that here was Vaisheshika Prabhu opening up so many windows, windows to freedom, windows to another world. But here was this bird banging itself against the window. And he said this whole experience made him think about his whole life. and how Krishna opens so many doors for us, but we don't see. We see something else, and we don't go through those doors. So many times, Krishna, the Lord, his intention is to see us come closer to him, to become free from the entanglement of the material world. And the Lord has different ways of how he wants to set us free, of how he wants us to draw us closer to him. And he does it in different ways. And one way that he does, that is explained in this verse, which is a common theme in many of the prayers of Queen Kunti Devi, that these dangers, these tribulations, they are all Krishna's way of drawing us closer. And Prabhupada expresses it very nicely. He says sometimes he puts his pure devotees in such dangers because in that condition of helplessness, the devotee becomes more attached to the Lord. The more attachment is there for the Lord, the more success is there for the devotee. So Prabhupada is saying that the whole purpose of life is to become more attached to Krishna. Left to our own devices, we may just be cruising along at a certain level of attachment. But that's not where Krishna wants us to be. Krishna wants us to be totally attached to him. And he devises ways by which we can do that. And we can't see it. We can't see what is coming in front. There's a story about the story of King Birbal and his advisor, King Akbar and his advisor Birbal. So one day, King Akbar, he was doing something with a knife, and there was some accident, and he got a big cut on his finger, and blood was oozing out, and he was in pain. And at some point in that whole experience, Birbal, his minister, said, "This is the mercy of Krishna. Krishna has some plan." And Akbar, he became furious with Birbal. He says, "What type of insensitive person are you? In my pain, in my distress, you are suggesting that this is something good. Please just go away from here. I don't want to see you." And he ordered his guards to put Birbal in jail. So a short while after this incident, Akbar would go on his different expeditions. And once he was going through a forest, and a group of cannibals who used to worship goddess Durga captured the king and his entire entourage. And once they captured them, they were making arrangements for each of them to be sacrificed in front of goddess Durga. So the king was thinking, this is the end. He was seeing how some of his own men were being sacrificed to goddess Kali. And when they came to him, the cannibals captured him, and they were preparing him for him to be offered to the goddess. And then suddenly one of them noticed that he had this big cut on his finger, and he said, "Oh, we can't offer him. We got to release him," because it was considered that someone who had a cut, they were tainted, and it was not an appropriate offering. So the king, his life was spared, and eventually he got back to his kingdom. And the first thing when he got back to his kingdom, he went to see Birbal. And he said, "Birbal, please forgive me. You said when this incident happened, this is some mercy of the Lord upon me. And I couldn't see it. All I could see was my pain and my frustration and how insensitive it could be. But this is what happened. And now I understand what you meant. So in a lot of ways, we cannot connect the dots. In our lives, we go through different types of tribulations, not only physical, mental, emotional, financial, relationship. And we at those times, we ask Krishna, why are you doing this to me? I'm trying to be a devotee. Why are you putting me through so much of strife? But one thing is for sure, Krishna is completely in control. Krishna has a plan for all of his devotees. And that plan is for us to come closer. We cannot see it, but later in life, sometimes we are able to connect the dots. Many of us may have had an experience with what we saw as punishment, maybe from Krishna. Later we see that as complete blessing, as a complete blessing. So this is the way of the Lord. It's not very easy to figure out in the nectar of devotion. I think one of the qualities Srila Rupa Goswami mentions is that Krishna is reliable. We can rely on Krishna when he says he'll give us protection. He will give us protection. We may not see it in the moment, how he's giving us protection, but that ultimate protection is in the protection of our bhakti, in bringing us and making us more and more attached to the Lord. Srila Prabhupada, in his book, the teachings of Queen Kunti, Srila Prabhupada spends most of his purport on the word Rishikesha. That Krishna is the master of the senses, and our duty is to please Krishna. That we are part and parcels of Krishna, meant for Krishna's gratification. And Prabhupada also talks about this word kalena, envious. And Prabhupada says the word kala means jealous. The material world is a world of jealousy and envy. I am envious of you, and you are envious of me. The Krishna consciousness movement, however, is meant for one who is no longer jealous or envious. By becoming free from jealousy and envy, one becomes a perfect person. Those who are jealous and envious are within this material world, and those who are not in the, and those who are not are in the spiritual world. Therefore, we can test ourselves. If we are jealous or envious of our friends, of other associates, we are in the material world. And if we are not jealous, we are in the spiritual world. There need be no doubt of whether we are spiritually advanced or not. We can test ourselves. I thought that was a very, very interesting statement. Some very interesting statements by Srila Prabhupada. It is said that we can either live in the material realm or we can live in the spiritual realm. And Prabhupada said, how can we test which realm we are living in? Prabhupada said, it's not difficult. We just need to see how much envy we have. How much envy we have in our hearts for others, and even sometimes for the Lord. Very subtle, that envy for the Lord, very subtle. And when there's no envy in the heart, we live in the spiritual world. And when there's envy, then we're living in the material world. And Prabhupada says, if one is not jealous, that means we have no envy of other devotees. We have no envy of other individuals. Prabhupada says, if one is not jealous, one can serve Krishna very well. Because jealousy and envy begin with being jealous of Krishna. So Prabhupada is saying that if we have some envy or jealousy in our heart, and we can pick it up if we are introspective, Prabhupada said you can definitely trace that back to some form of envy to Krishna. Why should Krishna be God? I am also God. This is the beginning of material life, to be envious of Krishna. Why should Krishna be the enjoyer? They think I shall also be the enjoyer. So that's very interesting insight Srila Prabhupada gives us to this word, kalena. Kalena. Which is 8:35. I should stop now. It's a beautiful verse. Any comments, questions, reflections by anyone? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vrindavan, Chandra, Prabhu, please accept my humble. This is all good.
Hare Krishna, Padika Mataji.
Hare Krishna, so wonderful. I always love hearing your lessons. Yes, it's so nice, so much to learn from Queen Kunti's prayer, as I mentioned before. Actually, Krishna teaching us through his pure devotee to us. Queen Kunti is the most pure devotee. That's why, I mean, she is helping us to show the process how we can get close to Krishna, because she is put into so much difficulty we can imagine, so much. I mean, any little things come to our difficulty, we just say, why is it have to happen, like that. But Kunti's got so much. I think Krishna also chose his pure devotee to show us how we can get close to him. And they are the example for us, so that we can really purify ourselves, our heart, so that one day we can serve better through the example of the pure devotee. That's why in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is non-different from Krishna, he gives us the lesson through his pure devotee, so we can take it in the heart and purify ourselves and serve Krishna that way, so that one day we may be able to become a devotee, pure devotee of Krishna. This is my understanding. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. One interesting aspect of the class I didn't touch on is how Srila Prabhupada compares the situation of Devaki and that with Kunti Devi. And there's an account where Kunti Devi, before the war, she goes to Krishna and says, I have one request, Krishna. Please, can you bring all of my sons back to me in a good state at the end of the war? And Krishna says, Tatastu, it's done. And Prabhupada says, yeah, how it seems that, that Kunti Devi was given more shelter by the Lord, because she was completely dependent. Devaki had Vasudev.
Is he still not moving?
Peter's meeting. Hare Krishna. That Devaki had Vasudev and not to protect her and take shelter of it. Kunti had no one. And Prabhupada says, the conclusion is that Krishna endows more favor to a devotee who is in greater dangers. And Srila Prabhupada used to extrapolate that to the sadhakas. He says, the devotees, the preachers, would go and preach and spread the message of Krishna consciousness at their personal danger. They are like a little child that Krishna gives some special protection to. So it's not that we should voluntarily do silly things. The purport here is for the service of Krishna. Sometimes, when there's danger, we depend on Krishna. But that's the principle here. When one is in a more dangerous situation, then the more we depend on Krishna. So Kunti Devi had no one. She was just completely and utterly dependent on Krishna, and Krishna afforded her, so to speak, greater protection. That was a very interesting part of the purport. It's not that we think less of Devaki, no. It is just that Krishna is showing some principle here.
Hare Krishna, Vrindavan, Chandra, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Krishna.
Yeah, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank
you.
you very much for your wonderful, beautiful class. And in this, it shows that when devotees, when we are in difficulties, then it shows that Krishna is trying to bring us more closer to him.
Yeah.
That, like with the difficulties, then we'll try to take more shelter of Krishna. And another thing is that, like as I this is so nice to listen that, when you are envious of devotees or anybody, then you are in the material world. But when you are trying to, stay away from all these qualities, then, you are in spiritual world. That's beautiful. Because I thought we all are in material world, but at least we have a hope that, if we improve our qualities, and at least we feel that we are in spiritual world.
Yeah, even in the path of bhakti, in a devotional community, sometimes envy for other devotees can manifest in our heart. We have to be very, very conscious of that. And the moment we see envy in our heart, we must tell ourselves, remember this words of Srila Prabhupada. That envy is drawing me into the material world. And the less envy there is, the more I am going into the spiritual world. This is such powerful words of Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, because it shows, the Vedic culture shows that when somebody is flourishing or somebody is doing nice, then we try to be happy by seeing the devotees, they're advancing, whatever good qualities they have. So we should try to appreciate, and we try to we can also learn from their example and try to cultivate those qualities. But Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other realizations, or comments, or reflections anyone has? No? Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for your participation. Glories to your service. Vanchakal Vaishnava Vrindaki Bhagavatam ki
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Vrindavan
Prabhu.
Prabhu
Thank
Chandra
you very
ki
much.
jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.